Hey guys, welcome back. So with this one, we're getting back into Cosmic Ghost Rider Volume 2. And now, not only do we get the face-off between the original Cosmic Ghost Rider and CGR number 2, but also we move a bit closer to finding out how this came to be, as well as what other ramifications have crescendoed from this anomaly. But with that said, if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to catch the spills every week. And don't forget to hit that bell up top so we can squat up in the comments for the first hour. Alright, so jumping back in, for the most part we continue from where we left off, with both of the Cosmic Ghost Riders passing out. But before we move forward, we first take a step back to a month ago, where we find a group of smugglers who have taken the passenger vessel in an attempt to make their escape from authorities. And in an act of desperation, these guys steer themselves towards a black hole, with one of them being like, "I got this," as if his plan is to just fly close enough until the authorities back off. But then suddenly they hear something land on the vessel, which is quickly followed by it blasting its way in, and come to find out, it's the one and only Cosmic Ghost Rider. Well, at least at the time, because again, this is taking us back 1 month ago. But as we're shown, it's here where Frank jumps in to stop these smugglers, which for him, as the Cosmic Ghost Rider, just going up against a few smugglers, this is light work, because these guys literally have no chance of fighting him off. So at this point, you can imagine for Frank, he figured he'd just jump aboard, knock this out, and just go on about his way. But when one of these guys opened fire on him, all of the blast obviously just bounced off of Frank as he walks up to him and he knocks the smuggler out. But with Frank knocking this guy out, the dude goes flying right into the throttle, sending the whole ship racing straight towards the black hole, which right away has Frank like, whose dumb idea was this? Because I mean, he knows he knocked the dude over, he hit the throttle, but the passenger vessel is only going faster towards where it was already going. And at this point, with them already reaching beyond the event horizon, there's no turning back. From here, they're then pulled in by the singularity, to where from here things get very weird and painful, because everything starts glowing white and everyone aboard, including the ship, take on a negative and inverted appearance. But before we go on to see what exactly happens next, Frank hears voices trying to wake him up, and just like that, we're taken back to the present day at the fueling station X987, right where we'd seen Frank in excruciating pain just before he passed out. And when he wakes up, he tells Valkyrie that he remembers. So he explains to her the whole situation that happened a month ago, where he had went to stop a group of smugglers, to where then he was inverted in some kind of magnetic field, and how he believes that it was that event that had taken place a month ago to be the cause of how there are now 2 Cosmic Ghost Riders. And as it turns out, Valkyrie and the others brought the second Cosmic Ghost Rider here, because when Frank passed out, Valkyrie figured that the other one was likely having the same experience. So they ended up looking for him and he wasn't too far away. But even with seeing this, it doesn't fully explain what exactly happened. And for Frank, the most that he's able to put together is that he fell into this brightly colored hole in space, and the next thing he knew is that he came out on the other side with what he assumes to be perhaps his clone. But then Axel tells him that it's possible that this could be more than a clone, and instead a piece of him, almost like an element of his identity. And she goes on to say that she's pulling the idea from her favorite book as a kid, which was about this doctor who had learned how to remove pieces from himself. He could remove his fear, his anger, even love. But eventually all of those pieces turned on the doctor, because each of them were incomplete without him. And really at this point, they all figure that this is the explanation that makes the most sense, because it also backs up the idea of this second Cosmic Ghost Rider being the purely violent side of Frank that he would otherwise only resort to when necessary. So just imagine that portion of him out on the loose with no discretion. And Axel even puts the idea out there that it's possible that with Frank missing this part of himself, it would explain why he's had moments where he's hesitated to squeeze the trigger, like back when the first bounty hunter came looking for him at Marlowe's bar. But while Valkyrie and Axel are trying to sort this whole thing out with Frank, suddenly a chain comes flying from across the room, wrapping around Frank's neck, which not only is a clear sign that Cosmic Ghost Rider number 2 is awake now, but also with him jumping up and screaming, "Imposter." It seems like he may have seen the same vision, with number 2 truly believing that he is the original Cosmic Ghost Rider. But that's one of those things where it's very clear which one of these guys is only functioning on a fraction of who Frank Castle is. And I mean really, had this been a story that was going longer than 5 issues, I would have perhaps liked a version of this where the question of who is the real Frank over the course of time being a mystery, with us not being sure which version was truly the original, giving us a few more layers to the other Cosmic Ghost Rider. But I mean, that's something I've just thought about for the past couple issues. But as we continue with this one, we'll come to find, heading into the conclusion, that there's a pretty big reason why Stephanie Phillips didn't choose to go in that direction, and we'll get to that. But at this point, with Frank going back and forth with his other, Valkyrie steps in and she tries to reason with the second Cosmic Ghost Rider by letting him know that he actually needs to hear her out because she can see that his death is imminent. And for a moment he tells her that he's done listening to her. But for Jane, it's like he punched her, threw her through an airlock, shot at her. So she tells him like none of that counts as listening, like he hasn't really heard her out. But with her going down the list of what he has tried, all of a sudden he's like, you know what I haven't tried? A cosmic blast. But Frank is able to knock him outside before we even find out what would have happened. And I mean, now that I think about it, I kinda wanted to know. But for a moment here, we switch over to Monarch Starstalker, who at this point has narrowed it down to fuel station X987 as the only fueling station left that Frank could be hiding at. And at this point, his partner / nervous system tells him that there's really no reason for them to be waiting. They know Frank's here, there's nowhere else that he could really run, at least not within the amount of time that it's been since their last encounter. But Starstalker explains to Ulysses that they need to hang back and just wait for a moment, because he had picked up 2 different identical signatures coming from this fueling station. And right when he says that, both of these Franks just come flying out of the window. So for the time being, the plan's to wait and step in when he sees the right opportunity. Because if you think about it, if Starstalker plays his cards right, turning in 2 different Cosmic Ghost Riders to 2 separate bounties could be a nice little come up, because the Shi'ar aren't the only people who want him gone. But between the 2 of the Cosmic Ghost Riders, the original Frank realizes that he's done as much as he can do while trying to reserve his power. So at this point, he has no other choice but to go cosmic as well. Which from here then takes the 2 of them into this all-out brawl, with Rider number 2 also admitting that he's a bit self-aware, with him knowing that he's the one with the quote-unquote attitude problem. But while they're out here throwing down, each one trying to stop the other, neither one of these riders gets like the significant upper hand, because as hard as one can punch, the other one can take, and the 2 of them just go back and forth in a fight that seems like it would last forever, or at least until the 2 of them short out again. But then suddenly, in the middle of this zero gravity smackdown, the both of these guys start to experience that familiar strange glow, and right away Frank is just kind of like, well, so we not gonna acknowledge this very random phenomenon that's happening with this ominous aurora that's surrounding us right now? Which is then followed by this huge thum, incapacitating the both of them, with another mysterious black hole opening up. And with this happening, keep in mind, Starstalker's just watching the whole time, waiting for his window of opportunity. And to take it a step further, he was just curious to see what he could learn about there being 2 Cosmic Ghost Riders. But with this huge surge happening between the both of the riders, he's not sticking around to find out what that's gonna bring next, because hanging around just ain't worth the risk. So he ends up grabbing the furthest rider from the anomaly, which as it turns out, it's the bad one. But Starstalker just figures, grab this one, get paid, and live, because at the end of the day, the Shi'ar aren't gonna know about there being 2 different Cosmic Ghost Riders, and as long as he brings them back one, he can collect his bounty. But in the case of the original Frank, who had already drifted to the point of no return, he gets sucked inside. He once again experiences the whole inversion process, but this time we see him revert back to normal old Frank. And after falling briefly, he then lands inside, only to then turn around and see that there are multiple other Cosmic Ghost Riders who appear to all be different pieces of Frank. Like the one with the white flame in the back, he looks afraid. Blue flame to the right, he's looking very emo. And it really seems that they all have a very specific element that makes them all a very incomplete piece of who Frank is. But also, this goes back to what I mentioned earlier, when I was saying that I would have liked to have had the mystery of a story with us following another Cosmic Ghost Rider without us knowing that he's a separate Cosmic Ghost Rider, which would have been cool, but once again, Stephanie Phillips is going in a whole nother direction. But what I will say, and this could just be me, you guys let me know in the comments, with this story giving us 5 other Cosmic Ghost Riders, or really 6 separate, 7 total, could be more later, who knows. I just think with this being a 5-part series and all these other personalities coming out at the end, that this is something that we probably should have got like halfway through issue 3, because now there's a whole lot that has to get wrapped up in issue 5, and it has me thinking like, it might feel a little dense. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. And so now real quick, I want to give a special shout out to all the patrons Thank you guys for all of your support, and for anyone who's new here who wants more information on how to support the channel, I got a link below where you can go to patreon.com/Dopespill. But that'll do it for this one, guys. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and we'll do it again on the next one. Alright, later.